Hello, everybody. My name is Austin Braham, and I am the AI Evangelist here at EverWorker. Thank you all for joining us today. Now, today I have the privilege of interviewing and talking to one of my colleagues, Andrei, who is going to be pretty much taking us through a really cool use case, even a few different use cases of what he has built on our EverWorker platform to both take to customers, for us to use internally, and just to pretty much show the power of AI workers. So before we get going, let me bring in Andrei here. Andrei, thank you so much for joining us today. If you wouldn't mind just kind of introducing yourself and telling everyone what you do.
Hi, Austin, and hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for a nice introduction. My name is Andrei. I've been with EverWorker for a few months now as an AI solution architect. Basically, what I do is I design and build agents from like small demo research agents, workers, I should say, all the way to production grade workers for big enterprise customer environments. I have a long technical background, so I've done like 6 years of engineering, and then almost 7 years of RPA prior to this. So I'm pretty knowledgeable in the field of automation, basically.
Awesome.
Yeah, and as a side thing, I also code a lot of cool stuff for EverWorker, and I think that's what we're gonna be looking into.
Absolutely. Well, awesome. Thank you very much, Andrei. I will jump us into just a quick presentation that I have for everyone to kind of set the stage before we get going. So just as a also background, last week we from EverWorker were in London at the AI Summit London event, where we talked to hundreds of different people across the marketplace of all, anyone down to from managers at a large corporation to startup founders, entrepreneurs. And we heard a lot from everyone here wanting to see specifically what are some of the things that we can do on the EverWorker platform. But today, we kind of talk about the general idea of why now? Why are we actually talking about agentic AI right now? Well, as we all have heard, and I'm sure we all know, AI is dramatically transforming everything about work. Everything. There is an estimated 300 million jobs across the US and Europe, and of course, obviously, there's many more markets than that are going to either be lost or delegated in the future because of AI. Now, 2/3 of these automatable jobs can be automated by AI agents in the future, as well as it's estimated about 1/4 of real human workers can be replaced by AI workers. Now, obviously, I know a lot of that can be scary up front, but that is where we come in, and that a lot of what we're trying to do is bring this knowledge to the forefront of businesses and people to prepare and actually get ahead of the curve before it starts happening. So the big thing about AI right now with the RAND project, just kind of recently came out with a study showing that more than 80% of AI projects fail. This is kind of where we like to talk about here at EverWorker, being stuck in pilot purgatory. I'm sure many of us, I know I have seen at previous roles, that you hear about, hey, we're bringing on this AI pilot for the next 6 months to hopefully bring a chatbot to our organization, basically. And then after 6 months, it goes blank. You never hear from it again because it never came to production. I'm sure a lot of us have experienced seeing that before. And the big thing that really comes down to that is because you often need really, really hyper specialized human workers that know how to do things like this, such as Andrei. And that can be very expensive. They're all usually going to Google, they're going to Meta, they're going to these large OpenAI, these large companies. And it also involves a very costly, complex infrastructure to run these systems, generally speaking. And it's just kind of unclear where is the best place to use AI in the first place. Now, when it comes to AI agent adoption, I would even say, I was having a lot of conversations about this. Agentic AI agents have all been generally theory for the past couple of years. It's only been in the last, let's say, 1 year from right now that we've been seeing real increases in real use cases of agentic AI. And as of right now, with 2025, they're saying theoretically, 25% of companies will be implementing AI agents in some way. But by 2027, that will go up to 50%. And then you can see by 2028, 33% of enterprise software applications in some way will include agentic AI capabilities. So by starting in 2025, it will obviously allow you to be ahead of the curve as this gets to this 33%. And obviously from there on, it will get even higher as time goes on. So now this kind of, Andrei even alluded to it in the beginning. It brings down to this question is fundamentally, what is this evolution to an AI worker? So traditionally speaking, we have AI chat assistants, AI chatbots, things like that we've all kind of started the spark in the beginning. ChatGPT, Google Gemini, which at that time was Google Bard, Claude, Perplexity, these different chat assistants that you just chat with, and it kind of is, a normal conversation there. But then it goes down to AI agents, which with an AI agent, what we like to kind of make it easy for everything. Because if you're in this space at all, you know that it's a constant battle and a constant, more or less, argument. What is an AI agent? You can really think of it as a chat assistant plus tools where it can do tasks for you. And generally speaking, it will do, one-off tasks here and there. You have an agent that does, send an email, agent that goes to LinkedIn, agent that does, that does certain tasks over and over again. But where we're trying to shift the paradigm is towards AI workers, where it is basically a multi-agent system that will do more holistic work for you. It's not doing tasks, it is doing work. So we like to think of them in the way of, you have human workers. Well, you also have AI workers that are doing full work for you as well. And in this case, oftentimes augmenting the human workers to make, efficiency gains much, much higher. Now, this kind of comes to the idea then, what is an AI workforce? If you've seen anything, like if you were at the event last week with us, you saw that we were talking about the AI workforce a lot. And this even goes down to what we're going to talk to Andrei about after this presentation is, what are some ideas that you can think of when it comes to what can an AI worker be? By no means do I want you to just read this. There's a lot of text here. This is more or less to give ideas. When it comes down to the finance and accounting space, you could have like an invoice accounts payable. You have validation and payments. You can identify waste and spend. Lots of different things. So lots of ideas that you can have with operations, inventory management, etc., and sales marketing, and any kind of other industry on top of that. These are just, I didn't want to make this last forever. So more or less, if you'd like to see more of those actual use cases right there, you can just email me. You can actually, just connect with me on LinkedIn, which I'll give you all later, so that you can ask, hey, can you send me that list of different use cases? Because that kind of comes down to where a lot of people are like, sure, I get this, but I don't really know where to start thinking about it. So then we get down to the point of why EverWorker. EverWorker is the easiest, the fastest, and the most effective way to actually employ an AI workforce. There's no engineering that is required. This is a low-code or no-code platform. So someone like Andrei, he does use this and codes into it because he understands it. But by no means do you have to code. I am in marketing. I do not know how to code. I can still build my own very sophisticated AI workers even without knowing how to code. And with this, you can tailor all of this information to your specific business. So it's not just a grab it off the shelf AI agent that you can then implement into your work. This is a AI worker that is built specifically for you. And then you have the expertise that is built in. We kind of take care of all the complexity underneath the surface that you can kind of see here. Generally speaking, when it comes down to AI strategy, AI infrastructure, there is a large amount of work that goes in on the bottom kind of back end of things. Here at EverWorker, we take out all of that complexity where you don't have to worry about, your RAG database. You don't have to worry about, your models and other more, hard parts that most people don't understand besides the super technical. So that at the very top of this iceberg, all you see is this, very beautiful UI to build very sophisticated AI workers. And with a lot of this, it has four main parts that is with our AI, our EverWorker platform. You have the EverWorker Canvas, which we'll look into kind of with Andrei after this. You have the EverWorker AI Wizard, which is an actual, more or less AI worker that can help you build AI workers. But then we also have our universal connector, which is kind of taking away the need for MCP, A2A protocols, all of this. Whereas as long as there's an API, it can be a proprietary API, legacy API, whatever it is, as long as there is an API, we can connect to it, anything with an API. So you can connect to any of your integrations, any of your backend systems, whatever it is, it can connect to it. As well as this EverWorker engine knowledge, this knowledge engine, excuse me, which is where you can put your proprietary information, any data that you want. Obviously, if it's data you don't want, you don't put it in there, so that these workers can have that context at all times. Me in marketing, like I said, putting in our EverWorker brand guidelines, our marketing guidelines, copywriting guidelines, any of that into this AI worker. So every single time it knows, hey, this is what the context that I should have, allowing it to be hyper specific, hyper personalized to you and your business, which is what all of us want at the end of the day. Now, kind of the last thing one of the last things I'll share with you here is, what do we offer? We have discovery workshops, which is more or less where we can kind of come in, identify some of those biggest pain points that you have, and actually brainstorm with you to create these simple, or sophisticated AI workers that you can employ to your business. Then we have the idea of AI worker creation. This is actually where Andrei spends most of his time, working with clients, with customers, to create these sophisticated AI workers for them. So that at the end of the day, it's like, okay, we'll work with you to actually have the discovery calls and all this to make sure it's exactly what you're looking for, and we will build it for you. But then we also have the idea of these on-site trainings where you can kind of have us come in, and especially with our EverWorker Academy that we just launched, we can teach you the frameworks. We can teach you how to think about, how should I be thinking about creating these AI workers in the first place, so that by the end of this workshop, you know exactly what you're doing, especially when it comes down to our platform. So then from here, the whole idea is that usually we're used to doing more with less. We have less resources, we have less spend that we can have at our job, we have less people on our team. We're constantly seeing less, less, less. But the whole point with EverWorker is that we want to give you the ability to do more with more, where we can actually allow you to do more work with these AI workers, with these EverWorkers, so that you can do more than you could possibly imagine, so that we can accelerate your business with an always-on agentic AI workforce. So with all of that, let's bring in Andrei. Andrei, when we are kind of bringing all this up, if you could kind of talk to us about, in the first place, what is it that we are showing today? What is it that you have built?
Sure. So I think the thing that caught your attention the most, and you asked me to show it to everybody, is a Chrome extension I built. This comes from one of our customers who wanted a way to connect the one of the workers we've built for them to their, in that case, I believe it was Salesforce, but it doesn't matter at this point. You'll see in a minute. Instance. We thought about coding a plugin, something specific, and then realized, hold on, why don't we just build a Chrome extension, which is the host of the Salesforce website, and then it becomes universal. You can integrate it with anything because it has integration capabilities, and then our agents have a lot more integration capabilities, and they can integrate with the specific platform. So I'll just, this little button right here will bring up a sidebar, basically, if you will, a Chrome extension. And
Okay.
this, at the very core, is basically a way to interact with workers that you've built. So you've built them in our studio, and you could interact with them in studio, but if you want to bring them outside, you could integrate them in anything that you'd like: phone app, website, software, anything. But if you don't want to build that integration, this is, I believe, the simplest way you can actually interact with agents in a pretty complex way.
Okay.
And
If you
we
wouldn't
are
mind,
planning to
could you actually show us a little bit of like what even this Chrome extension looks like. What does it do? As far as you told me, there's a few different agents that you've already put in there in the first place. If you wouldn't mind just showing us around.
I'm using this a lot for testing, so these may not make sense, but every single one that you see here in the list are basically agents that were previously defined in this configuration, and these are all agents that I've built and deployed using EverWorker Studio, basically. The one that we're going to be looking at, just so you can see the way to interact, is one of our agents, which is actually being used by our sales team when they're on a call with a customer. In this field of AI or even RP or general automation, whatever it may be, there's always an idea of ROI involved. Like, okay, it's good, it'll enhance our team and everything, but how much money do I have how much money will I save? How much time will I save? And everything comes down, not everything, but most comes down to that in an enterprise environment. So that's not an easy calculation to do. You usually have to get our data, after talking with the customer, and maybe follow up with some presentation of that. This I'll go through a few back and forth with the bot, with the agent. I'm sorry. Will help you to do that super fast. So you can see here it's already starting and asking me. This is tailored to calculate that ROI, and it's asking me what specific use case are you considering. I'll just answer a couple of questions so you can see how this works. And I do have a full one ready for you, so we don't spend this whole meeting. But I could say lead enrichment in sales, for example, and it will analyze what are main steps. Take raw leads and add data from the internet. One interesting thing about this, about the worker, not the extension in this case, is there are basically no guardrails. I mean, yes, we tell it what it's supposed to do and how it should approach it, but there is no specific rules for lead enrichment in sales. It on its own is able to understand what it's about and how to do that calculation. We never tell it you should consider this, or that. And it splits everything into three to calculate the ROI. It splits everything into three categories. And I'll just switch to a finished run that I have. This is just a duplication of that previous one of the previous worker. And you can see I basically said the same thing. And you can talk very human-like to it. It says how much time, asking a few questions. How much time does a sales representative spend to do a single lead? I just thought about 1 hour. How many leads do they do your team does do in a month? Let's say 100. It does a bunch of calculations. What's their salary? So to be able to estimate cost saving. All that. It does an initial calculations. So everything about automation is about like how your current process is, how much it costs, and then how much you save by assigning some of that work to your worker force, basically. So in this case, it estimated a savings of about 80 hours and per month and per year. It went through the rest of the categories. This is more about accuracy. It asked me how many do they end up being a customer, how many, how much money does that customer bring, and it does also a bunch of calculations for improvements. And it then asks you what's your team satisfaction, like how much do they love what they're doing, because that's also an important thing that can be improved by implementing an AI worker. And it all basically comes down to like another estimation and like a summary of what you would gain through those three categories. You could just copy to clipboard, put in an email or export to a Word document, and send that to the customer, and that takes like 5 minutes instead of maybe a couple of hours and back and forth with the customer. You could just do it live, show the worker, and show the value that it brings.
Awesome. So this immediately makes me think, especially building these AI workers myself as well. Would you mind kind of showing us the back end of like what one of these workers would look like that you have actually built?
Sure. So this is a simple one. Let me see if I actually don't have it here. This is, let me think. It should switch. Let
So
me think.
it can be any of them. It can be any of them.
So this that you're seeing is a very simple one. This is, you would only see basically an LLM call with rules. This is super simple, and
Yeah.
maybe some RAG to learn from previous interactions. This is super simple. That's one thing. It's super useful. It saves a lot of time for people, and it takes maybe like half an hour to build and fine tune something like this. It's not a technical challenge. It's more of like a really good idea that you can
Yep.
build really fast.
Yep.
But then we have workers, which are the opposite. I mean, yes, the idea is also good, but it's a specific use case which is complicated. It takes a lot of time for the team. Maybe a lot of team members to do it, because maybe it's a lot to do at the same time. So then you end up with not simple but complex workers, like you see here on the screen. You see I'm scrolling through a bunch of nodes, and I could show you if you want what this generally does. This is an actual implementation that we kind of reuse for a customer. I won't actually show this running because I'm trying to avoid sensitive data, but you can see how many steps, and you could imagine like how big of a process this automates and how much time somebody would take to basically do all this. Would you like me to go in depth on this, or?
Well, what exactly would be, so like in this case that like that the customer asked for, what would maybe make this different than just going to ChatGPT or Google Gemini? Like, what have you done to make this specific to what the client was asking for, and like kind of what it did?
Sure. So in this particular case, the use case is, imagine you're a sales, not a sales, I'm sorry, a support agent, and you may be on a call with the customer or on an email or in contact, and they have a problem with your product, like they found a bug, or something's not working right, and you have a huge knowledge base on your website, in your Jira instance, on your Confluence articles, and you want to provide fast answers. Normally, you would need to log into all of these, find relevant things, and read all of them, understand them. Even if you will put them in ChatGPT, but you'd still have to go on those websites and search and do all that stuff, and then come up with a possible solution and all that. So this does all that for you. So it goes to Jira, as you may be able to see here, searches, and you can type anything. It will know to build a good Jira query, where it's not super easy to do. So it looks through Jira, looks through Confluence, uses RAG for the website knowledge that's in there, and processes the data, does a little bit of data transformation, and ends up using a few LLM instances to provide a solution and some URLs that maybe that a support agent could go and maybe look even more. So it's a very unified search engine, but also a solution provider, because imagine having to read all those articles, like 10 articles that are relevant, read all of them and compose a solution. This is one superpower of AI. It can understand a huge amount of data and put everything into 2, 3, 4 paragraphs that you can then use. And if it's not enough, you can just follow the links it used and do it yourself if you need to bring more info. But this saves, like, in 99% of the cases, like 99% of the time.
Basically. So the big thing here too that kind of goes further into what I was mentioning earlier was, like, you made this worker like super specific to what this exact customer was looking for by connecting to their Jira, their Confluence, their website instances, so that everything that is about this is like, this is almost like a one of one type of AI worker. It's not like, oh, this person over here, it just drag off the shelf. Like, this was made with this customer in mind and hyper specific.
Correct. You could think about there is a greater reusability in this case, because many customers use Jira, Confluence, and maybe a website knowledge base to store their data and knowledge. But yes, this is super specifically tailored for what this customer required. Yes, but
okay,
yeah.
So it almost be like, even though, like, so this is already, like, let's say this is already built right now, and someone's like, hey, Andrei, I want that. It could be as easy as even just then getting their Jira environment to going to their Confluence, their website, and then just plugging all it in there. So it's almost like once let's say even at your own company, like a theoretical company, is once someone creates one sophisticated worker, they could be like, oh, maybe I want to add that to my kind of workforce. All you'd have to do is then, I guess, theoretically just like send it to them, right? And or like deploy it or have a way that someone else can interact with it, which makes me think the next step for everything. Would you mind kind of talking about how you can deploy these actual AI workers? In your case, building a Chrome extension, like where do I actually go to deploy this?
Yeah, sure. So any agent that you build, let's say this one, let's do well, I don't have URL. Let's do this one. This is the studio where you interact with and configure your worker. Basically, you have a save button right here to save your work, and you have a deploy button right here to deploy the agents. Once you've clicked this button, you have this menu in Studio, and here you'll see a list of, this is a big account, so normally if you have your own instance, you'll only have a few MB organized. This is what we use for demos, but you'll see a bunch of deployed workers, and any of these workers, like I don't know, let's pick, maybe find one let's do transcript. So any agent can be integrated in this way. You basically have a couple of API calls that you need to do. A post request containing 3 important keys: the general account, the agent, and the authentication key. And then you do a few GET requests to wait for it to finish running, and you get the result. And this is a strategy for all of them. If you want to do more sophisticated stuff, you can add some stuff to this and be a little bit more complicated, but for example, enable streaming, like you've seen in my extension, like the results come not all at once, but they're streaming in. So you can get a little bit more technical with this, but okay, it's REST API calls. That's it, and that any coding language can do nowadays. It's the core of internet, basically. So sure, the short answer is you can put this in anything super easily.
Okay. Well, thanks for showing us that, Andrei. I'll go kind of move over to this next screen for us as we're basically at time here. Is the general idea with all of this that kind of, Andrei, thank you so much for showing us, was first you can build these either relatively simple but can do great sophisticated things, or a very sophisticated full-on worker, basically like you showed with that one worker that had many different steps. It can be very tailored to whatever someone is looking for, but then on top of that, they can deploy this in any environment that they would like. So in your case was a Google Chrome extension. You could have your own front-end website. It could be more or less wherever you want to put it. You could even use an AI worker to help you build a front end of this website. And then you can basically put that agent or that worker into this site so that people can actually interact with it, which is something that most people want to see, is where can I put this? How can I use this? So Andrei, thank you so much for kind of showing us that. I know we're going to get much deeper in the future of showing more and more what it can do. But as we're kind of finishing off here, if anyone here has questions or would like to learn more, you can request the demo to do almost like even, have Andrei basically show a hyper-specific use case that you could use. You can request the demo at everworker.ai, as well as you can connect with Andrei or myself on LinkedIn. So these QR codes, the QR code to the left of Andrei is for Andrei's account. To the right of my face at the top is going to be my account. Connect with us. You can actually send us any kind of messages you'd like. If you are interested in any specific portion of this live stream, like let's say you wanted those slides that showed the different use cases that you could try, email us, message us on LinkedIn, whatever it is, and we can kind of help show you a very specific way that you can employ these AI workers to create your AI workforce. And besides that, I'll say all the normal things of follow us on LinkedIn at EverWorker, follow us on YouTube at EverWorker Official, and where we're always kind of showing more and more of what is possible, like demos from myself, demos from Andrei, demos from other people in the team, other interviews, all that. And stay up to date on all of these EverWorker live streams that we're having, because we're going to continue to meet with Andrei and meet with other solution architects at EverWorker, as well as other leadership here, to talk about really exciting things happening at EverWorker. So besides that, Andrei, thank you once again for joining us today. And for everyone that is watching, thank you for joining, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you.